Hello and welcome to another video. Let's talk about and look at Icarus3 oscillators. It's the last and most recent update Marcus has done for his synthesizer range. I think it's the last major update he'll do forever. I'm not entirely sure. Probably correct me on that if I'm wrong. But this is a big update to one of his powerhouse synthesizers, Icarus3. It's a crazy. I've done a deep dive on it. I'll link it somewhere. But it is an insanely deep synthesizer, and I thought that the oscillators within themselves, as complex and deep as they are, deserve a video in their own right to explore the crazy potentials, because I think it's difficult to grasp in whatever a deep dive or any kind of preset look at kind of video. So let's look at Icarus3 oscillators banging the table on most of the words. So where do we start? Let's just go straight from the start. We're going to use a sawtooth to frame the effects that the oscillator does to itself, because we're just going to look at one single oscillator. We'll have it in a polyphonic mode. Some of the modes need other oscillators to interact with it, and we'll bring them about when we need to. But for the moment, we're just going to go through what these are called as morph effects. Morph modes? Let me see. I think they're morph modes. Let me just refer to the manual. Yes, they're morph modes. And there are like a fair few of them. And I kind of want to go through every single one of them. So get ready. If this is the kind of thing you like, this is going to be the kind of thing you like. So here we go. Right. Some of these modes are kind of steppy. And this first knob here is a great demonstration of that. So what this is doing is this is a wavetable synthesizer, and this wavetable is having partials removed. Partials are high-frequency content. In case people who are watching this, I'll be surprised if there are any non-kind of nerdy people here, but partials are kind of the sounds that make a sound more complex, parts of the sound that make the sound more complex than just a basic sine wave, which is what we class as being a very simple sound. So by turning up this kind of partial filter, we're taking off partials that aren't the root. It's kind of like a low pass filter, but it's more algorithmic. You can see this steppiness. Fully open, that's very clearly a saw wave, as you can hear. Fully closed or fully kind of set to the right, it turns into a sine wave. That's still handy, even though it's like the top. It's not the top of the pops, but it's the first kind of option you get in this drop down of effects. So let's delve deeper after a sip of tea into these morph modes. Where do we start? So I'm going to make this easier and quick to traverse, because there are dozens and dozens of them, by setting up LFO2 in a trigger mode. I'm going to take it off BPM. So we basically got that. So most of you chaps and chapesses here will know what pulse width modulation sounds like, especially on a square wave. And this is what it's doing to a saw wave. And we can obviously pulse width modulate any of the different wavetable frames in here, and it all goes crazy. As you can see, lots of pulse width modulation here, I can tell you. Look at all that. Oh my goodness, it's modulating like a madman. So let's go to the next option. But don't worry, this isn't going to take this long for each effect. Phase distortion, pulse width. This is weird because I think when you speed it up, you get kind of pitch artifacts, you get pitch modulations, but at kind of slower speeds, they're indetectable because of the way that the phase is being adjusted. Subtle, again, we'll do it to all these crazy waveforms. Some of the more complex waveforms sound really cool, look quite cool as well. Speed it up. turns into madness. That's what we like. We'll go back to our saw wave and just scroll through these. What have we got next? We've got phase distortion saw. Let's go phase distortion Squ. And again, to speed it up. Madness. Why would I want that out of an oscillator? You'll find out. This is a nice one. It looks like the waveform's been duplicated and half of it's being phase distorted and the other half's being stretched out. Again, that kind of insanity happens. Next. Oh, look at this one. This is a nice one. And again, any old waveform, whack it through this. Get your madness. Get your filling of... Oh, that's nice. I must remember to not spend too long playing these delicious noises because then we end up with a 4.5-hour video. No one wants to watch that. Unless they do, in which case let me know in the comments. Grunge. This is an interesting steppy effect. Look, you can see what it's doing. It's kind of duplicating the signal within half of its own space. Yeah, look, because there's the waveform and it's been duplicated and multiplied in the other half of the waveform. Okay, let's go. Right, let's do some FM stuff. This is nice. I love FM. So I'm going to use a sine wave so we can hear what's going on. A bit clearer, basically. So this is just a sine wave, the same frequency. We're self-modulating with an internalized kind of operator that we can't hear. And it's running at, on that setting, it's running at the same rate as the key that we press down. Those of you familiar with FM will sort of be familiar with these noises, I guess, to a degree. Now the operator is running twice the speed of the key being pressed, so an octave above. And the same goes for a lot of these. I'm going to turn the release up a bit because I like things to hang around a little bit. Let's just up the sustain. Three times the root frequency. This is like an octave and a half above, I think, isn't it? 2 octaves above. Here we go, and now we've got the operator is half the frequency, so it's kind of going to be trying to make the sound a bit bassier. And I think there's another one which is a fifth. That's a fifth below, I think. Again, it'll be adding kind of low frequency content to the signal because of the operator's pitch. And I guess this one I think is even. Well, there's a fifth. Oh, I mustn't play these for too long. Okay, this is a 2 octaves below operator. And again, do it on any mental waveform. Triangles particularly good. I forgot about how useful triangles are actually. Oh, and squares. Squares can be a bit of an unpredictable beast when it comes to FM. So I guess I'm just, because the operator is a sine wave, when you're operating with a square wave, all hell breaks loose. But what we've got after this, we've got... let's put it back to our sine. another relationship, another ratio that's making the FM operation bring out lower frequencies that are lower than the note that's actually being pressed. Very handy for like instant bass. There we go. Okay, so there was a 5/4. These are different harmonic ratios, kind of useful for FMing with. And now we're just going to do FM with a square. I assume it's the same frequency. A lot of these modes don't have much documentation because they're new, and the Icarus 3 manual isn't actually out yet, so I'm going to have to make some guesses and predictions about what's going on. But I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, the square wave that's being used to modify, to frequency modulate this sine wave is the same frequency as the note we're pressing, basically. That's really busy, isn't it? There's like 4 things going on. Nice. Next one. So yeah, we've got a carrier, the operator, sorry, is a saw wave this time. I assume running at the same frequency as the note. Some nice stuff. Oh, I really love it. God, I shouldn't spend too long on here. Let's keep moving. Okay, that's one of the external FM modes. It says oscillator 3, so let's turn oscillator 3. Put that back to a nice... See what happens if we stick it on a saw wave. Let's turn the volume down so we can't hear it. And I'm going to reset the LFO here. Get into more playable pitch. And let's see what's happening. So this is FMing from this oscillator. And let's just make sure it is doing that by trying to break it, mangle it, do some crazy stuff with it. Well, there we go. That's nice. And can affect how much this oscillator is damaging, is frequency modulating oscillator 1. Quite a lot. Oh, what was that? Hey, there you go. So that's that. Anyway, that does that. Ooh, vocally. Anyway, okay, that's FM from oscillator 3. So let's keep going. What have we got down here? We've got a couple of kind of sample things. Maybe look at them later. I'm more interested in these actual menu items. So let's go Harmonic Shift. Let's go back to our saw wave and enjoy these kinds of operations. I mean, those of you with keener ears can hear that this is shifting through the harmonic series. Good for doing FM with, again. But I don't think you can use we can't use oscillator 1 to FM against anything, so I'd have to do this in another oscillator and FM a sine wave against that for beautiful madness. But this is, yeah, just shifting through the harmonic series with this saw wave. Do beautiful multiplications and something with it. It's lovely, isn't it? Let's have a look. Let's keep going. Let's just see what the manual says quickly about that, if anything. Harmonic Shift, no, it says nothing. So let's go Hollow Shift. This is doing some minusing, I think, isn't it? It's how it's getting these kind of squarey harmonics. Hollow, like it's kind of calling it hollow. I'd call them kind of square. Maybe there's fewer even. Pretty lovely, pretty lovely. Let's keep going. Let's Hollow Shift 2. There's a few different modes here that do the same thing. And 3. And 4. I mean, they definitely all sound different. Some lovely harmonic interplay there. Those hollow shift modes are pretty mad. Now we've got some Formant modes. And you can kind of see what's going on here. There's some kind of windowing and squeezing of the waveform within those windows. And it sounds like it's going through another harmonic series, doesn't it? Nice, let's just... I think there's a Formant quarter here as well. Quarter size window. You get an even thinner sound. Pretty crazy, isn't it? And Formant Cross. Apparently similar as the last few functions, but just a bit softer. Again, you can hear the kind of harmonic series being accented by this operation. Honestly, it actually looks like it's taken away that. And there's a bit in the middle going missing, but that's a nice one. Formant harmonics. Oh, look at that. Or listen to that. Oh, that's ugly. Look at that. Some out of tone stuff. Okay, all right, okay, let's just stop this movie now, stop the movie. But that's a nice... Obviously, again, apply this to any crazy waveform. Even like a broken sine or a triangle. Anyway, that's the Formant stuff. I think it's just one vocoder setting beneath that. Oh, Formant Hollow. Again, it's kind of squarey. I'm assuming there's doing some kind of subtraction on it, but I'm not going to try to guess how Marcus is doing these things. Just so many crazy takes on how to modify the wavetable. So this is I had to dynamically modify the wavetable to get like synthesis fun out of it. Again, so here we go. This is a kind of a basic one, I suppose you could say. It's just a kind of basic low fade, yeah, low pass, but it's fading between the kind of filters, the filter steps, and similar but in a high pass. I think these begin to be steppy now, so I'm just going to reset the LFO, and you can see the steppiness. And I mean, oh, it even tells you the smallest partial. That is, again, I mean, I love this. The fact that you can step through these just makes it's another kind of way of having another kind of noise. There's definitely ways to exploit that stepping. Oh, goodness. Okay, here we go. So these, again, I think are stepped as well. They're not faded. But it's a bandpass filter, 1 octave bandpass filter that I think is just being, well, you can pretty much hear it's just being kind of shifted up through the sound. So this is the fundamental. This is the octave above the fundamental. This is 2 octaves above the fundamental. It even says up here, look, 4 octaves above the fundamental. And it's just showing, it's just giving you the harmonics that are in those parts. So if we just move to another waveform, we can see, like this complex waveform has those, this description at the 5th octave, this distribution of noises, this signal at 4 octaves, and this signal at 3 at the 3rd octave. Good for just like breaking your sound into little pieces if that's what you want to do. There's another one here with 2 octaves that's wider. So you're going to capture, you're going to be kind of not removing as much sound. Again, it's steppy, good old steppy. And 1 octave bandstop, the opposite of a peak. It's a subtraction. So you can sort of hear, again, it's steppy, but it's a notch filter ultimately, a kind of full strength notch filter. So if you have it at 0, the first octave, you're basically notching out the fundamental. And then as soon as you move up, the fundamental's back again. And you're kind of notching out different octaves as you go up. This one is an interesting signal, an interesting operation. We are, again, this is another morph mode operation. It's basically forcing the signal to be a sine wave. It's kind of looking at the lowest fundamental and accenting that. So you can kind of fade out all the other partials. And just get back to a sine wave. Handy for if you've got like a complex noise that doesn't have a loud fundamental, and kind of bringing it out, basically. You can just kind of mix between all the other partials and the main fundamental and kind of bring it out and accent it, turn it up, balance it out. Functional, but also could be used creatively. This is another one that's just kind of knocking out the fundamental. So you can hear that there's the bass is there, the bass frequency is there, the low fundamental is there. And the more we increase this, off it goes. And you can also see the signal, because the fundamental's at such a low signal, it's affecting the whole picture of the signal as well. So you can see that there's a low frequency energy that kind of gets removed, and this whole signal is steadied out a little bit when we take away F0, known as, the root, the fundamental of this sound. Well, I'm pressing notes for a long time there. Let's go for some Ringmod stuff. And these are effects that, move. So let's go back to our... Ooh. Nice. Any notes for the Ringmod stuff? Key tracking. There's one here that I think this is actually... I think there's one that is steppy. So this one, declares to be fading, but as the first one... Oh, hold on, I think the second one doesn't have... Yeah, this one is key tracked. The modulating frequency is key tracked. And in this one, it's not key tracked. But you can sort of change the depth of the modulation, obviously, as you can hear. There we go. Okay, let's whiz through some of these. Amplitude modulation. Amplitude modulation fading. I think this is a fixed frequency as well. So this AM is key tracked, and this one is just a fixed frequency. Oh, let's go. This is a nice glitchy amplitude modulation. Love it. Okay, let's go. We have another mode here that is ripe for external influence. So I'm messing around now with oscillator 3 here, because this says oscillator 3. Let's just turn that down. It might be. So even with morph mode at 0 in this mode, we're still wanging that signal around. Let's increase the depth. Oh, interesting. It sounds like there's some kind of filtering going on, but I don't think there is. Let's turn that fade down. Anyway, lovely, lovely mode. AM from another oscillator. Turn the oscillator off. Okay, let's carry on down here. We've still got a few to go yet. Bit of wave shaping, brutal wave shaping. And again, doesn't have to go super fast. Doesn't have to be super deep, I mean. It does have to be super fast. Nasty. Ooh, okay, there we go. Right, there's a little bit of other wave shaping here. We can turn that on again. Put that back to see what's going on here. So without any, with the morph at 0, oh, it is still being wanged by this somehow. Let's go, let's put them both at Saw. And see what happens. Very syncy. Oh, there's some stuff happening there. Oh yeah. That's a nice bit. Oh yeah. Opposite sync. Oh, okay, let's... Oh, there we go. Nice. Brutal. Nice external wave shape in there. We're going to do some sync. Actual syncing now. Hard sync. Just make sure. I think it says it's a hard sync. Hard sync. Oh yeah. That's pretty brutal. Pretty hard. Let's go for... I guess this synced frequency is not key tracked because there's no key mentioned in here. Let's keep moving. Oh, I love these ones. I love these square. Oh, it's just... There's something so stingy, bitey. I don't know what the word is. Oh yeah, it reminds me of Marble Run or an abacus or something. I don't know. And this again is the same oscillator source, but not key tracked. Oh. Why isn't this in the charts? Right, let's move to the final few here. We've got a comb filter. We know what a comb filter is. It's some tightly configured delay lines that are feeding back on themselves. Kind of add a pitchiness to the sound if it doesn't already have a pitchy content. But we've already got a pitchy content here, so this you can sort of hear how it's affecting like the saw wave. Let's maybe put it... Does that do anything? I'm just going to get rid of it because it's cancelling itself out. Let's go for, yeah, like a complex layered super saw. Or kind of multi-saws. It's funny because it's not actually doing a comb filter operation as we know a comb filter to be, like delay lines fed back, kind of tune delay lines. This is doing a weird operation on the sound. And it sounds, I mean, it's in that territory, obviously, isn't it? But there's no feedback, and you can't change the frequency of the comb filter itself if that's not what we're doing. Yeah, I don't know if the morph mode knob is... Sounds like it's just changing the qualitative nature of the comb filter rather than increasing the perceived delay time or the feedback and that kind of stuff that you might normally get in a comb filter. Oh, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, these are nice actually. These stacked octaves. These do nice kind of interleaving of the sound of the waveform. Let's put it back to a saw wave. And I'll just hold one note down. And because you can hear that other perceived octave kind of appear because of the way it's changing the waveform. It's kind of nice. And you can do the opposite. I guess obviously this all works with whatever kind of crazy waveforms you want to stick through it. Let's go back to the saw though, we can hear what's going on. So that's the octave stacked and kind of inverted, the signal inverted, so you get a different kind of stacking sound. Let's keep going. Oh yeah. Another harmonic scale stacking. Oh, lovely. A harmonic series across what? One octave, one, fifth, two, second octave, over across 2 octaves. And again, I think the same signal, but inverted as it's laid back onto itself. Sounds a bit hollower, a bit squarier, even though I'm sticking a saw wave through it. And this is interesting, isn't it? Let me just see if there's anything about this. No, this is a new... Even though we've got a saw wave going into it, it's organified it. It's nice. Dissonant, and sometimes not dissonant. Okay, that's stack octaves. Let's keep going. What we've got? A couple of chord modes here. Oh yeah, so these just... I'll keep it on this sound. You can hear it's adjusting the wavetable wave form to make it appear to be multiple notes being played at the same time. So we've just got a 2 chord, it's just like multiple notes. So that's, you can hear that's the root and a fifth. That's the fifth and an octave above and third and the fifth. It's like chasing, it's like 2 harmonics chasing each other up to this point when it seems to be just a various distribution of intervals. Very handy for like constructing chords, like by, say, for example, my goodness, I need to stop doing this and move on through this process. But yeah, so we've got you can just create, so this oscillator doing one note, and then another oscillator doing the 2 other notes that this oscillator isn't doing. Anyway, do whatever you want with that, it's great. And here's a 3-note chord. And this morph mode just kind of shifts through a few different chords. Very handy for instant music and for instant rave. There we go, instant rave. And this is harmonic series kind of offset. So rather than like normally, if you want to detune something, you'll be able to detune it by like MIDI notes, by notes that we know, like piano notes type thing, fretted notes on a guitar. But here you can offset it by harmonic series. To get ugliness. Ooh. That's like some old computer game, isn't it? Which reminds me, we've got another few modes here. Goodness me, this is another long one. Here we go, arpeggio. Now this is kind of reconstructing the wavetable and allowing, it's kind of pitching, it's kind of re-pitching it and playing it back at the same time. You can hear it. If I slow it down. So Morph Mode 1, Morph Mode 0, Type 1 up here. It's just doing an octave. You can hear it's like a low note and a high note. It's very, if I pitch it down, you can kind of hear it's a low note and a high note, but let's go. And again, I think that's that low note, the high note, and a higher note. And so this is 3-octave arpeggio. Again, that's another 2-note octave arpeggio. There's a root and a fifth, another octave, another octave and a fifth, another root and a fifth. That's a third. Anyway, there's loads of these. You can just figure them out for yourself if you want to use them. But it's really like, I think they called it, in the manual, it's called a jodel chip. I think jodel, what do they say? Jodel is because tone 2s from Bavaria. So yodel, is it yodel chip? There you go. That's what that is. My fabulous yodel example there. Please acknowledge that. So there's like an arpeggio mode here, which is actually really cool, yeah. For kind of emulating old style chips, you know, in the 80s and the 90s, I guess, when games machines were very low CPU, low tech. The audio engineers would create chord effect by just arpeggioing between 3 notes, for example. And if they're running so fast, you can't really hear it's an arpeggio. You can't really hear the notes are changing. It just sounds like a blur of notes, so you kind of get the illusion of a chord. So it's kind of exploiting that. You know, there's some of the modes at the end are... It's kind of nice. And there we go, that's the arpeggio mode. Let's just see where we are down here. So we've got a couple of noise. So these are just noise. We don't need to hear that because you know what noise sounds like. Well, let's have a listen. Let's turn... white noise, pink noise, and tuned noise. Again, you know, people like this as part of old style kind of chip processing, like a lot of noise that came out of old games machines and Commodore 64s and that kind of stuff. Sounded like this. Pitched noise, sampled noise and held for a certain amount of time. So you sort of get the illusion of a cycling, which gives you a sense of pitch. But I couldn't... It's difficult to say what notes these are, but they're definitely notes. Is it that? I don't know. But that's what that is. And there's these kind of cool sort of modes which analogize things. Like old school equipment had lots of instabilities. Old analog equipment was built on circuitry, and that circuitry in itself could become unstable as the designer intended, or over time, environmental reasons, failures of the circuitry. So you get instabilities, even though actually the whole idea of electronic circuitry is a feedback circuit in itself anyway. So you're kind of going to get instabilities involved, you know, within the circuitry. But you can emulate that kind of thing by adding a few of these different textures that Marcus has included in this Morph Mode menu. This is a spirit mode. I think this is actually in Gladiator, which is an incredible, crazy synth. Another one of Marcus's. And we can just make it sound very, very unstable. It's nice. And there's another one here, I think. Spirit, is it analog? I think what it's called. Oh yeah, analog. This just kind of adds, like, saturates the signal, rounds it off and fattens it up a bit. And you can hear, I think it's doing a little bit of unstable kind of pitch wobbling as well. You can hear it's very subtle. whereas that's really stable. Anyway, that's that noise. It sounds... I like these little kind of lo-fi-ness. Here's a couple of downsampling filters. Well, this is downsampling. It doesn't track... It's not key tracking, unfortunately. And it's kind of steppy because of the way I guess Marcus has chosen to implement this particular sound, but it's kind of gritty downsampling. Doesn't sound... There's lots of... Listen to those harmonics. Listen to those out-aliasing. Delicious. And oh, we've got another sort of broken bit here, which... What's the technicals for this are... The oscillator is played back in an ugly way with a lower sample rate. Oh yeah, so that sample rate is described up here. So normally it's running at 30 kilohertz, which is, you know, faster than it needs to be. No, it's basically high quality. And as you reduce that sample rate, stuff starts happening. I can hear like... Oh, shut up. I can hear... Even here, at 15 kilohertz, there's like some kind of wobbling and stuff at the edges. And then a bit more, totally more, lots more. Again, though, this doesn't... I don't believe it tracks with the key, so it's just a kind of brutal... destruction, a brutal kind of adding aliasing problems into the signal. It's very good for what it is. Oh, I just wish it was key tracking. Maybe that's something it can't do. By the very nature of what it's doing, it can't be key tracked. I'd be surprised. Anyway, that I think is all of the normal kind of morph modes. We'll get to a couple of the other ones that I missed. At the end. I'm going to do them at the end. For now, that's all the morph modes. Now we're going to go through all the super saw modes, all the, I think, how do they describe it? Play modes is how Marcus has named them. Let me just verify that by looking secretly over here on a page you can't see. Yeah, morph modes and play modes. Yes, and again, all these play modes here, some of them are new, some of them haven't been documented. So we're just going to listen to them and enjoy them, and I'm just going to read from the manual occasionally, should it be necessary. So let's go back to a square wave. Have a little sip of tea. And look at what we've got here. So these play modes are all here, and they are kind of enabled and increased by the spread button. That's just a basic stereo detuning. Nice. So where do we start first? Let's go for Mega Saw. So a lot of these, let me just start here so I don't have to talk about it later. When they say stereo, it's like splitting the signal across left and right, hard left and right as far as I can make out. This is a Mega Saw 3 mode. So there's only 3 duplicates of the signal being generated, not being spread across the stereo spectrum. But they're still being detuned pretty crazily. So that's three saws. There's different details about some of these saw operations. I'll try to mention them as I come across them, but it's not all documented. So I will be making some assumptions about some things, but not everything. So this Mega Saw, I don't know where it's come from. I don't know what the history of the detuning is, but it kind of sounds balanced. It sounds like there's one staying in one saw in the middle, and the other 2 are kind of detuning either side of it, possibly with some cleverly ratioed kind of distance away. I have no idea. Making assumptions, but that's 3 of them. Let's do 6. That's definitely Is it a mega saw? I think it's a mega saw. Let's try these. I love the fact that he's just set these knobs to go more. I love that. Ugliness and beautifulness. Go 12. Pretty fat. Pretty blooming fat. Ooh. Okay, let's keep going. There's a lot of these. So we've got regular super saw. Again, there's nothing in the manual specifically documenting these super saws. So there's some difference between this and the HyperSaw, but I'm assuming will be revealed in the manual when it comes out. Play like that. Ah, okay, so this is referencing the JP8000, which had a particular distribution of super saws detuned waves. And people have been emulating this for years, so I'll be fairly confident this is close. I think Dave, Toybox Dave, has even done a few JP8000 super saw modes in some of the super synths that we did in the blocks packs. Nevertheless, we're talking about this today, not that. But it's pretty heavy. Yeah, that's nice. Fierce. What a fierce super saw. Let's go to the next one. What have we got? Super Stereo. Now again, super saw. Have we got to HyperSaws yet? We haven't, have we? No, we're still on super saws. It's just wide and delicious, isn't it? Oh. That was 10 of the last one. This is now 7 on each side, or 7 spread between the middle to the out. Oh. Right, HyperSaws. There's some documentation here. The HyperSaws in Icarus are phase optimized, unlike conventional HyperSaw oscillators. The amount of beating is minimized statistically, so you should get less peaks, less kind of interfering artifacts of the beat of the notes all kind of coming together, and with that, you get a steadier bottom end. Depends if you're sitting or standing, I suppose. Pretty sure there's a few of these, yeah. So we've got a couple of 9. There was a 7. Here's a 9. This is all monophonic at the moment. Just spreading the saws out. I think there's a few stereo ones here. Here we go. So these all get dense pretty quickly. It's nice. Must have a few more here. Oh look, okay, we've got and 10. Funny when you bring them all together. That's nice. We like that. A little bit of movement. There we go. Ooh, a little flapping and fluttering. And there's definitely still phase stuff going on, because you can feel the waves interfering with each other. But maybe it's just not as destructive as it might be if it was just like randomized, or sort of some kind of different maths used to distribute the tuning. Big and fat. Okay, there's some crazy ones here now. Right, this additive stuff is mental, but I love it. I'm going to change waveform. Here we go, look. Now, none of this is documented as far as I can make out. It's a new new set of because it's not even Super Saw, it's duplications of the oscillator, but at different, more controllable tuned distances. So this one, for example, is behaving possibly, I don't know why it's called bell, it's possibly, obviously there's no documentation, we're going to have to make kind of some assumptions here, but it's possibly something to do with the way that the harmonics are distributed in a bell. And we're basically, you can see the ratio going on here, this ratio knob. The further we increase it, the more distant the oscillators are from each other. We've got some that are moving away quite. So if we put it up to like 1.5, put it back down to 0. Let's see what's going on here. We've got everything at 0, and all the waves coming out of the oscillator are the same pitch. We spread them around. We can hear them being spread out. Let's just try and get the top one to an octave. There we go, there's the octave. And all those, the 4 oscillators are now spread out by a ratio of 1.2. So it's nice and brilliantly dissonant. Totally unplayable, depending on what you want to do with it. Might turn into a tom or something if you filter it, but we're not doing filtering here today. And you can hear they get spread out further apart. And there are some really lovely spots that I think are actually quite musical and delightful. I mustn't play these for too long, because otherwise we get a 4.5 hour video. Stop me. So some of these, like that, I just happened to have stumbled upon 50% in the knob, 1.4 in the ratio sort of definition of the algorithm. It's kind of like a diminished scale, so the notes are even distance apart within an octave, or maybe 2 octaves. And we've got like a diminished distribution of notes. Then it goes right up to, like, all the notes are in octaves. So a ratio of 2, all the notes are spread. Look, ratio of 2, all the new partials that are being played back are kind of octaves apart. I think but there's more things here, we can spread them around even further. I love this. This is mad. I just love that, like weird futuristic ugliness, beautiful. Well, I think there's a 16, isn't there? Yeah. Look at this. You want harmonics? There's your harmonics, love. I'll give you harmonics. In fact, let's just make it out of a sine wave. And just sort of here. I'll just turn that up a bit so we can. Spread them out. I'm just going to go, I'm not even sure if it's possible to tell how low I'm going, but these are very, very low notes, and these are very high notes. It sounds almost shepherdy to me, like you can't tell if I'm going up or down, because the notes are so far apart. Like I bring them together in an ugly. Let's keep moving through these crazy play modes. What have we got next? I think there's some stereo bells, stereo bell distribution. These. Oh. There we go. Let's go. There's a few more here. Oh, that's nice. Oh, they sound the same. They must be a fourth apart because I'm pressing C. This is a G. I'm pressing a C, F above it, B flat above that. Let's go. I'm going to go. That's going up, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, all a fourth apart. Oh, that's a lovely, what was that, 1.36? Remember that, 1.336. Interesting ratio there. Oh, it's just so lush. Oh, pipe organ bell. Oh. Right, let's do these. There's a few more here. We can't be... Oh, you are kidding me. Look at these, look at these. We've got to rush through these. Here we go, right. Ultimately, the difference in a lot of these modes is the way that this ratio is used to distribute the partials. I mean, I don't even think these partial modes have... Yeah, there's nothing. These are new, so there's nothing to go on here. But it's nice. Oh. Oh, yeah. Ugly, we've got ugly. Come one, come all, we can satisfy all ears. To spread them over small distance. Oh, what was that? Oh, what are these noises? Oh, I just love, like, this is so good for bells. Harmonic stuff in it, it's lovely. Ooh. Let's keep going. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. 16 additive partials spread at a ratio of a number. I mean, there's 16 oscillators here. Let's put it back to saw wave and hear and listen to all those. Oh, there we go. We can sort of tune them a bit off. Oh, I love that. Ooh. That's such a weird tone to it, hasn't it? Like, which octave is it? Oh, it's so lovely. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. Stretch. Oh, yeah. I would love this to be... I remember thinking, is there not a stereo mode for this? Because it would be insane. It's like completely... kind of... it's not like dumb, but it's kind of just like purely algorithmic, some algorithmic shifting that is only musical in small places. But my goodness, that was nice, wasn't it? Let's go. Oh, just get Big explosion. Let's get all of them playing in the same one note. Ooh. "17 oscillators. Ooh. Is there a stereo stretch mode? There isn't. I think that's why I was wanting a stereo stretch mode. That would have been so cool. Now we've got these random modes, which basically every time you press a note, the added partial / harmonics are randomly chosen from a distance described by the spread. So if you've got spread up maximum, you'll get like one note in the middle and then 4 other crazy notes around it. And that kind of goes for all of these. Usable for some stuff. I can definitely see. That's a randomly selected super saw kind of. I think there's some stereo ones of these, but just not with. Oh yeah. So we can do. And so it's a different kind of super saw. Normally super saws have fixed, pitches that the offset that each of the duplicate saw oscillators is going to, so it sort of spreads in a certain way. Like the JP8000 is different from like other Unison saw kind of devices, super saw kind of configurations. This one is just randomly picking frequencies from a certain distance around the center knob. I'm gonna hear if we do that actually. Yeah, I'm just hitting the same note. Just picking random notes. Okay, so let's keep going. Again, so this drift is a similar, it's in the menu, what is it? It's in the analog unison drift. This is just like, unstabilizing, destabilizing the sound. So I think every note you hit is kind of random. Just hitting the same note. The more I increase that, the wider the pitch variance. And some of these would just be duplicates, kind of super saw style modes, but with a different kind of calculation. That's a nice one. And you can push it to extremes, which is what we like. I think there's a couple of stereo modes, isn't there? Yeah. These are nice wide. Ooh. Ooh. There's a nice hiss coming after that. Anyway, I suppose I couldn't even hear that. Let's keep going through here. A couple of unison modes. Again, these are more like destabilizing. Also, a couple of stereo modes. These are nice and gentle, aren't they? Gentle. What's next? Oh, so we've got some harmony modes. These are kind of cool, yeah. So again, this is doing an octave, similar to what there was some stuff in here. These kinds of things, similar kind of choices and different kinds of operations, I'm guessing, because it's doing it in a different part of the kind of oscillator generation. This is more like duplication of voices, whereas this is just like mucking around with the wavetable to make it sound crazy and different and super sawy or whatever. But this is kind of duplicating waveforms and giving us the ability to detune those other waveforms, those other generated oscillator sounds. So we've got an octave here. So we've got the root note and an octave above it. We've got, that sounds like a third, an octave and an octave, forgive me, and a fifth above the root. 2 octaves above, oh, it even tells you what's going on up here, look. 5 to 1, that's an octave and a third by the sounds of it. Fifth below the root. A third above a third an octave above the root. Anyway, I don't need to read these out to you. You can hear what's going on, and you can, you know, obviously. Again, I should point out these are, I don't really want to use the word dumb, but these are kind of fixed offsets. There are some other modes, we'll get to them in a minute, where actually the oscillator engine is trying to sensibly pick notes to harmonize your currently played note with. I don't think it's far. See, as you can hear, they're all, that's a major third. Did it even say it on the... Oh yeah, so it's major. We've got basically a root and the third above it, and you can detune that. Minor third above it. An octave and a fifth above it. So all of these so far, they're called stacks. Yeah, so let me just go back to maybe the major. I think that's what we did, wasn't it? That sounds minor. That can't be right. Sure, these stack modes aren't affected by they're not trying to retune the notes in the generated harmonies, but there are some modes here we go, like auto chord modes, where I'm playing a C, G, C. So all of these kind of generated harmonics now are in the key of C. So it's all like I'm hitting the white notes. The harmonies are kind of the white notes. G, so we've got G major, as you'd expect from a C scale. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. And a kind of, well, it's not quite the B diminished, is it? It's just missing a load of notes, just a B and a D. Which it could be perceived without other notes as being part of the G scale, or part of the G chord. And if you hit black notes, so I'm hitting it, that's a C. You can hear the C and the E. I'll go to the C sharp. We've still got the E playing, and the C sharp's lifted. Sorry, the C's lifted to the C sharp. And now we've got a D. We've got a D minor, so it's a D and an F. And if I go to the E flat above that, low D, it's a... I think that's playing an F sharp, isn't it? So it's D... E flat minor to E minor, F major, and if I go for the F sharp, we can hear that is hitting an F sharp and the A above it, because that's a G, and we've got the B. So it's kind of a clever little system. It's just that it only plays back your chords. It does the clever stuff as if you're playing in C. So if you want to play in another key, you have to retune it with this knob here. And then you can play in whatever key you want to, kind of easily, I suppose. And again, these are just kind of tuning offsets, give you a bit of thickness to your chord. And here is a selection of. So this is the whole triad. Playing in C again. I'm going to hit E flat. That's given me like an E flat minor, hasn't it? F major. I'll go for F sharp as well. That sounds like F sharp minor. G. And I'm going to go for A. This would sound weird because after playing this, after centering on that, it feels like I'm now in the key of D. So I'm going to go for G. And I'm going to play A, and I'm expecting this to sound like a major. This next chord, it's kind of the obviously next chord to play. I'm expecting it to sound major because of this chord, but I think it's going to sound minor because we're in C. There we go, it's a minor. So it's a really interesting way to discover maybe ways of hitting chords and things you wouldn't normally have hit before, just by selecting the chord layer, the chord play mode, and just mucking around. Single note chords. I think this one actually has a sort of another oscillator in the bass. Yes, but I've kind of got you can see that +1 octave for the low. Let's keep going. Some crazy flanger modes. Oh yeah, God, these are weird. Listen to that. We can do it. There's another. Pretty weird. I mean, it's doing the flangey thing, but not in a way that's conventional to how we normally do flangey things, like with delay lines and long running LFOs. This is cool then. This is just like that, just a semi shift. Let's speak no more of it. I think this is doing ratio tuning. So yeah, look, 1 to 7, 1 to 8, 1 to 7, 1 to 6. This is good for using it as an FM operator. Tuning by semitones when you're doing FM stuff doesn't tend to go so well. Things like fourths and fifths and maybe minor thirds work well, but there's a load of missing fun that you reach when you use an oscillator that's being tuned like that. Let's keep going. What have we got? Just pitch, or that's just a regular sort of offset. And this is for doing weird like auto accompaniment stuff. I think that's all of them. We've done them all. So let's move on to the vocoder. Right, and to do the vocoder, I'm going to use this oscillator here. I think, yes. And I'm just going to drag. And what I'm going to do is you go to edit. There's a few different ways to get to the vocoder. I'm going to do this way because I want to specifically say to oscillator 2 vocode a sound, and it's going to be here. Vocal 101. And let's go back to here. Just make sure it's doing the thing. I can see a bit of noise there. You can hear a bit of noise there. What is it? What I'm going to do is switch this to a vocoder mode because this allows you to change. Actually, first of all, let's set the. Reaching out into other worlds. There we go. So we just wanted to set LFO 1 up to be proper. So yeah. Let's turn BPM off. Reaching out into other worlds. Reaching out into other worlds. Reaching out into other. So it's crazy, lovely, weird bit of vocoding technology. It's lovely, isn't it? Reaching out into other worlds. Reaching out into other worlds. Reaching out into other worlds. And this basically is like a Formant shift. Oh, it's so really clean, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't sound like a normal vocoder with like a ton of attack and release commands for each bandpass filter and, you know, kind of offsetting the envelope detectors to detect a different area of the spectra that's coming in. It's completely different. You know, I can't even select a different kind of waveform to vocode against. You get saw and square and silky and noisy. Let's just try square with that same sound. We heard that, what that sounded like. 101, here we go. Let's do silky. Oh, there you go. That's distinctly different, isn't it? I'm going to go back to, let's just do noise for the sake of it, because what's it going to sound like? I wonder. I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to sound like vocoded noise. Pitch, though. But yeah, it's definitely noisy. I think as well, I mean, there's some cool stuff. Let me get that out of my mouth. I find this to be a handy kind of clarity operation to saturate the vocoded signal. I'm going to put it back to vocoder saw, though, because, goodness me, I like that. And I'm going to saturate it quite a lot. Oh, there we go. Now we have a vocoder. It's nice. I really like it. Might be useful for backing, for backing harmonies. If you use the turn trigger off and then the you can just play all the notes are starting at the same time in the file. So I can just play. Reaching out into other worlds, 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 reaching out into other worlds. Kind of mad, isn't it? It's kind of beautiful. Let's also do just a bit of normal synthesis. So that was vocoded. Reaching out into other worlds. This is now kind of resynthesized. Sounds a bit different because it's tracking it in a different way and kind of using Marcus's crazy wavetable technology to turn that off. It's crazy, isn't it? And also, of course, this does all this madness. Oh, it sounds like it's going through one of those pitch shifter delay things, isn't it? Oh, isn't that mad? How many voices are there? It's just so crazy. Love it. So this resynthesis thing is crazy. I can't go into all this stuff crazy. I mean, a lot of these options here, although I happen to click two menus there that aren't prevalent at all, a lot of the filter stuff and modifying stuff exists in the oscillator in the morph menu, but then you can hard apply it with this menu, find a nice noise, hard apply it with this menu, and then you've got another, then you basically freeze up your morph mode slot for something else, because like there's tons of things in here that are in here. Then you just apply it, kind of hard apply it to your waveform, to the wavetable, and then you are freeing up a slot for your, well, a slot, you're freeing up the morph mode function. Right, I think that covers the synthesis and vocoding. There's one more part of it. Let's do the final oscillator here. I'm going to turn into a granularator. Granularator. The best way to say it, even though that's not what it is. And so let's turn the volume up and pull the wave back to the start. This knob always describes how far the you're going to be, where to start from in your wavetable, basically. And I want it to start from the top. That's the first bit of the sound. There we go. That's the waveform being played back. Oh, that's annoying. Let me do it in here, actually, because then you can see the menu items. You are. Okay. Let's turn. Again, and this fade knob still works in this mode in the sense that it kind of, you can hear it very slightly. That's smoother because it's kind of interpolating between all the grains. Perceived grains. It might not actually be grains. It might just be a way that he's reading back through the wavetable that's been generated. I don't actually know. But you can tell this is kind of grittier and harder. There's like, and that's softer. Anyway, so yeah, that. Once we select one of these granular modes here in this morph mode menu, that's where we get the power back. Like, you can increase the window size here. What's that? Is that 100 and... So it's 1,000, isn't it? Right, yeah, so... Everywhere between 7 millisecond, 6 millisecond window to up to, you know, more than a second. What's that, 1,600 milliseconds? So yeah, as soon as we start, and we can obviously do the same craziness. Let's do it again, let's do it again. And the more these are spread out, the more the granulator is trying to spray these grains across a higher octave range. So some of them will sound weird, some of them will be way far out of what the engine's trying to reconstruct. And obviously, smaller windows, if you get more definition, put the windows back to here again, you just get strange, wispy clouds and clattering machinery and metal raindrops. Right, let's move on to the final few granular modes here. We've got Granular BPM, and what this does, it chops the sound up into pieces that are divisions of the tempo. So ultimately, you could drop any sample in here and it will just kind of match the sizes of the grains to the tempo that you've got. But if you drop in a drum beat that is the same tempo as the host, as the project, you get interesting divisions of time that you can then exploit with kind of step LFO steps or just normal LFO running through the file. But we'll just have a look at this. Not going to exploit it to that degree, but let's just have a listen. I've got a patch here. Let's just play this. So you can hear the metronome. And this is now triggering lumps of sound that are the same length as a division of the tempo. You can hear that rim shot banging on the beat. And there's a cool like triplet step as well, which I always like. And a kind of 16th, which I guess you could use the offset. And the larger you go, I think these chunks go a lot larger than, well, they have the potential to be a lot larger than grains in the other modes because they are kind of fixed, you know, maximum size of 1.5 seconds or something. But these will be trying to match the size of a grain that's matched to the tempo size. So if you could have a really small, a low tempo, which would mean you get an enormous grain. And basically, these grains, the larger they are, the more you'll hear the kind of pitching artifacts. So I can whack this up like three octaves, and it'll just run through really quickly. We won't just get a repetition of a few grains here and there. We'll just get it trying to run through the whole thing. But then the smaller the grains are, that's a 1 bar size grain. Maybe it's more like 1 beat. And then we've got 4 per beat. But that, obviously that can be used in combination with the LFO that's tracking through, that's matched to the wave knob, and just tracking through the... I mean, you can hear that's basically in time. As grungy and as chunky as it is. Look, I'll make the beats, the little chunks smaller. So that's Granular BPM. It's kind of weird. You can exploit it in a few different ways. Maybe tempo changing in the project as well could introduce some interesting granular mangling, if that's what you like. We all like a bit of granular mangling every now and again. Let's do the last few modes here. Just have a little sip of tea. This one's kind of similar to the classic mode, as far as I can make out, in terms of the sort of functionality. And again, this isn't documented, so variable window size for this one. But the classic is fixed window size, 13 minutes. Oh, and you can change it here. Let's have a look again at the variable, just to make sure we aren't missing anything. I mean, there's a window size parameter, but it also says the window size is variable up here, so it's possible it's getting slightly adjusted. Let me get to... Oh, that's cool. Nice territory. And again, it's sounding quite sticky because we've got the fade at 0. As soon as we whop it over there, we'll get another kind of artifact because these grains are so small. 6 milliseconds. I like this sound. This reminds me of the old school time stretching algorithms. I'm just going to drop the tempo. It's currently 128. I'm going to drop it to like something very slow. 68. Mangly. Make it stickier. Ooh. Right, let's put it back to 128 or so. What was it on there? And we'll just check out the last one, which is a Formant mode. This might be... I mean, you can hear it doing Formant stuff. Let's just stop that running. There we go. Everyone likes Formant shifted drums. It's a bit of an addiction. Oh yeah. Drop the octave. Drop the Formant. There we go. I think that's actually the last on the menu, isn't it? Here, look at that. Last on the menu. So there you go. Deep dive into a single oscillator. Let's put some mad things on here. Here we go. This is music from the future. Oh yeah. I don't know where this has been my whole life, but I finally found it. Please. Here we go. Well, I thank you for coming to this delightful event, and I hope you can now go off and exploit these fine oscillators in every way you can. Just like I am right now. Craziness, delightfulness. Well, thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever's left of it. And go off and exploit some oscillators, would you please? Thank you very much.